Unless you've had your head in the sand for the past week, you've heard of Pax Dei by now. Everyone is covering it, and for good reason. The MMORPG market has been barren for the better part of the last decade. Sure, we've seen Guild Wars 2, ESO, Final Fantasy: A Realm Reborn, and those have come out, but those are big theme park games. As far as sandbox games, we've really seen nothing but a constant influx of Asian import games like ArcAge, BDO, but none of those games have been like blockbusters. We've seen games that have tried to push out in the last few years. We've seen the failure of Elion. We saw the lackluster release of New World. We saw the failure of Crowfall. We've seen continuous delays in the development of games like Pantheon, Ashes of Creation, Camelot Unchained. We even witnessed the total failure and meltdown of Chronicles of Illyria. Gamers are getting disenfranchised with the MMORPG genre. More than that, they are thirsty. They're looking for something, anything to play. Now, we know there's a lot of studios trying to dip their toes in the waters of MMORPG development. Many times we hear about these cool concept games, and by the time we dig in, we find it's some 5-man team trying to do something that normally takes a team of 100 or more and hundreds of millions of dollars. That's why when Pax Dei came across my desk a week ago, I didn't immediately jump in. I put it on the list of things I'd get around to checking, and that was a huge mistake on my part. Luckily, I have an amazing Twitch community. They kept pushing me to check out PAX. Now, I know a lot of creators have already covered it, but I'm going to do this crazy thing I do, and I'm going to start by talking about Mainframe Industries, the company behind the game. The company was founded in 2019 with 13 original founders. They have been going strong since 2019. They've been working off stage in the shadows, quietly growing from a single studio to now having 3 studios, one in Helsinki, one in Reykjavik, and one in Paris, and they've grown to no less than 75 employees. I love a company that can show a full team photo. In fact, if you notice, they have people being clipped off on the sides. They have veterans from studios like CCP, the team behind EVE Online, Blizzard Entertainment, Ubisoft, Remedy. They've brought their team together to build a social sandbox game accessible on any screen. Now, before we get ahead of ourselves, let's talk about money. The funding for the project. They have fundraised about $30 million thus far for the development of the game, including investors from Riot Games and Dreamhaven, which is Mike Morhaime's company. And that's saying something if Dreamhaven is investing in what could possibly eventually be a competitor. And you know what else I love? I love going to a company website for a game in development and not getting bombarded by buy now, back today. I love the fact I was able to come to this website and I was able to get a little bit of information without feeling like I'm dodging signing up to donate blood or buy a timeshare. So I think with all of that, it's safe to be cautiously optimistic and look a little further into the game. The game is a vast social sandbox MMO inspired by the legends of the medieval eras. Myths are real, ghosts exist, and magic is unquestioned. Now, with that alone, that is enough to get me interested. Gonna give you some nuts and bolts. They are building the game in Unreal Engine 5, which is a very smart move. Lots of big companies are moving to Unreal Engine 5 for MMORPG development. They will release on Steam. They are not developing for Mac OS. And while they are not ready to talk about monetization, they are not going to be using pay to win. They've said this on 2 different occasions in the last week. Now, do we believe them? I am willing to believe them at face value right now because this is a company that is doing fundraising rounds. They are not asking players to bear the burden of the financial risk in early development. Games that have inspired the development of PAX are EVE Online, where many of the devs are from, Valheim, EverQuest, Ultima Online, but more importantly, the answer they gave is that all MMOs have influenced the Pax Dei development because it doesn't matter if a game did something right or they did something wrong, developers can learn from everything. Now, where is the game in development right now? They are currently in friends and family testing, and they are looking to move to a stage where they can offer a large number of alpha testers a relatively stable client. If you remember when you saw on the website, you can sign up for the alpha testing today, and you don't have to buy an expensive Founders Pack to get in. If you're still with me at this point in the video, let's keep diving in. The combat system of PAX will be action combat. You can weapon swap. I'm going to tell you that right now. For some odd reason, that question is a huge thing for a lot of players. They have not talked about their magic system. We know there will be one. We know the players can use it. PvP for the game will be opt-in, but some of that opt-in is opting in by going into zones that have PvP in it. If you don't want to engage in PvP, there is PvE content, but this is going to be a game of risk versus reward. Sometimes if you want to be the top crafter or the top gatherer, you will have to move into those areas that have a PvP threat associated with it. And beyond that, they don't want to reveal too much about their PvP. They do talk about the fact they don't really want to do instanced and ranked PvP because that splits up the population. They want to work on systems that bring the players together. For the PvEers, PvE will be freeform and open. There won't be traditional NPC quest givers. They do want to have players making content and making quests. Now, I know you're going to ask me a bunch of questions on that, and if you do, I will do my best to try to get some information. The class system, classes, there aren't going to be classes. You are going to build a character how you want in a fluid way. But the game will support the Holy Trinity. So this is going to be interesting to see how they're going to do that with what they release in the future. I have seen games do this where you fill your role based on gear, choices, options, but you don't pick a class and you're pigeonholed into that class. Like all good MMORPGs, there will be a housing system, there will be a player-owned shop system, there will be clans, there will be guilds. And right now, I think for this first introductory video, I think that's a good place to stop. I've introduced something to you. I've given the thing my vote of confidence. I've done a little diligence on their background as a company. What I want to do right now is I'm going to put a lot of links in the description below. I'm going to put links to the Mainframe company webpage, the Pax Dei website, some of their videos, and then questions. Ask me as many questions as you want so I can start working on follow-up content. Also, remember Mondays, Wednesdays, Fridays, I do stream live on Twitch. Make sure to swing in live and we can talk about it. Until then, go do your homework on this new game in development and then let's start dissecting it the way the Paradox community does.